to episode 2 of Somehow I Dad, a podcast about dad life from our own perspectives, where we share stories and try to make each other better. We believe that being a dad is so much more than changing a few diapers, helping clean up around the house every few weeks, and providing for our family. I'm your host, Garrett, and joining me today from the great state of Ohio, Gordo.
Hey, hey.
From Arkansas, Abe Phillips.
Hello again.
And lastly, hailing from Alabama, Tyler Giddens.
Hey, yo, what's up?
We've got a great episode in store for you guys. Let's get into it. After episode 1 released, we've got some soaring reviews. We actually wanted to bring on one of our biggest fans. Please welcome Mason, Gordo's son, onto the show.
Hello.
What's up, dude?
What's up, Mason?
So,
I'm so glad you're here. Your dad is trash. That's on the recording.
I know. I agree.
Well, everyone, please welcome Mason, Gordo's son, onto the show. Mason, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, man. I've got a few questions for you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. First of all, how is it having Nick as your dad?
Pretty good.
Pretty
I'm better
good.
at every video game, so pretty nice.
Yeah. Does he a good job? Does he do a good job at being your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about him?
I don't know. Hello.
What's up, dude?
What's up, Mason?
So,
I'm so glad you're here. Your dad is trash. That's on the
I
recording.
know. I agree.
Well, everyone, please welcome Mason, Gordo's son, onto the show. Mason, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, man. I've got a few questions for you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. First of all, how is it having Nick as your dad?
Pretty good.
Pretty
I'm better
good.
at every video game, so pretty nice.
Yeah. Does he a good job? Does he do a good job at being your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing about him?
I don't know. He feeds me
He feeds you. Well, good.
sometimes.
Sometimes. If he didn't feed you, I'd probably have to call the authorities on that one. So
This couldn't be going
I'm good.
better. I'm going to post CPS number in the chat. So anybody needs it, Mason is there.
Off twice
All right.
if you need help.
No coughs, so we're good. All right. If you could choose a new name for yourself, what would it be and why?
When I was like 5 or 6 years old, I always wanted to be named Michael for some reason. I don't know why. And now, I don't really know. But yeah, it's always been like Michael or something.
Okay. Yeah. I like Michael. Is it because of Michael Jordan? Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I'd like to be called Michael because I'm Michael Jordan. Let's see here. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I've always thought of like maybe an actor or a YouTuber or something.
Okay. Who's your favorite actor or YouTuber now?
Actor, probably like Tom Holland or something, and then YouTuber, I don't really know so much.
Okay. There's a lot of YouTubers. Do you like Mr. Beast?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. How could you change the world if you could? I know that's kind of a hard one.
Just like peace and stuff, and like everyone's like nice and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would make the world a lot better of a place. And then last question I have for you: who's better at video games, you or your brother?
Maybe him at one game, just a little bit, but every other game, yeah.
What
me.
game is he better at?
Maybe Fortnite, just because I switched my console, just because of that.
Okay, all right. But you're better at everything else.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For
No
sure.
For sure, hands down. Awesome.
But he's not as bad as my dad, though. That is for sure.
All right, Mason. Is there anything else you wanna tell our listeners while you're here?
No, not really.
No. All right. Well, sweet. Thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
See you, Michael.
You can give that. See you, Michael.
Yeah, see you, Mike.
Bye.
All right, guys. Does anybody have any stories that you want to share from the past few weeks?
So Christmas was different than I've ever seen a kid experience Christmas. So she woke up and came in, and we got her like this little vanity with a mirror and like some play makeup, and she loved it. Yeah. And she would sit at it, and she would like play with her makeup, but she wouldn't want to open anything else. We had to like force her to open another gift, and she would open that gift, and she wouldn't want to play with anything else, not even the vanity. It was whatever she had at that very moment. That's all she wanted to play with, and I felt like that was kind of weird because I've never seen a kid do that where they were just focused on the one thing that they had just opened. I guess she was just living in the moment. We opened presents for like 3 hours. Like she had like maybe 20 gifts, some small stuff, some big stuff. And it took us like 3 hours to open 20 presents because she just would focus on one thing and I guess just live in the moment on that one thing. And she was just having a ball.
That's amazing. Yeah, opening gifts at our our family's Christmas was funny because we went to Kate's parents' house and she has 2 little sisters, and they open presents like they're going to keep the wrapping paper year to year, and they take forever to open presents, and they love it. Like it's hilarious, but they open each present like they're gonna save the paper year to year.
That's how my mom used to be with the boxes. I'm like, why are you like that with like the closed boxes? But then she would always put like a piece she'd always put like a piece of tape on it in the most inconvenient spot where you like don't see it and you rip the box beforehand. And
that's the way we are with like bows and ribbons. Like you have to be very methodical and careful on how you take a bow and a ribbon off, or else it's bad news. Like my family.
Do you guys reuse them?
Bro, we've had some for no lie, like 10 years.
So what do you do after you give a gift?
There's like a Walmart.
You say, hey, by the way, we're going to need that back or what?
No, be careful with the bow. Be careful with the bow. Be careful.
Dude, ribbon's like $2 a roll.
There's a very
I never want a gift from you.
That you have to take a bow off. Like my grandma would lose her ever-loving mind if you ruin one of her bows.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's
wow.
Yeah, yep. So we now do bags and tissue paper for family Christmas. Now we'll wrap the kids' presents, obviously, because it's fun ripping that paper, obviously. But
so the bows don't even serve a purpose anymore. They just sit in like a glass hutch at home, or what? Is it like a shrine?
No. Maybe to my grandma, but it's just like it's been happening for so many years that now it's like I don't even think about it anymore. It's just like a thing that is there, like bows, and half of them look like they're from the 80s, so they don't even really like match the wrapping anymore. But it's just like it doesn't have to have a bow on it.
They're like discolored and yellow.
Yeah,
milk stains.
Dude, my dad was doing that last week. Like we opened gifts with like my nieces and my brother and everything. And the nieces were opening everything. And when they got done, he was like, hey, girls, when you're done, Nana wants those bags back. She's going to pack those up for next year. So just pass those around when you're done. I was like, what? Bags are like $1.
Dude, inflation, man. Inflation out here killing everyone. Jeez. Just going to start asking for the gift back to rewrap it for next year.
Yeah, if you don't like it, just give it back. I still got the
You'll like it eventually.
By the way.
We'll try again next year. I'm grateful.
Swear to God, you'll love this toaster. Just this is not the year. Sorry, Grandma.
And now my house has 2 toasters.
What am I going to do with 2 toasters?
A reoccurring segment on our show will be the mailbag, where we take a few questions from Instagram, YouTube, and email. If you have a question about dad life, parenting, married life, or just general questions about Gordo's roller coaster tycoon builds, we did get a few last week. Gordo will be reaching out to you personally. Just be on the lookout for that. But please follow us and message us on Instagram at SomehowIDad. Comment and subscribe on YouTube at SomehowIDad, and email us at somehowidad@gmail.com. We actually didn't receive any questions from you guys, the listeners, this week, so I actually have a few questions for you guys. As a new dad-to-be, I'm constantly observing and trying to learn as much as possible, and I've been really thinking about some stuff that I really wanted to grab your guys' opinion on. The first thing is, how do you discern and draw the line between pushing your kids to do hard things, but not pushing them to do things that they don't want to do because they don't like them?
We're like right in the middle of that right now, to be honest. Well, I would say probably
Okay.
on the tail end of it. So Roman, my 4.5-year-old, is a lithium battery of energy. Right, he just goes and goes and goes, and so we wanted to try to do something. So we tried indoor soccer. That was a catastrophe because he's not a rule follower. He's just like me. He doesn't like to follow the rules, and so we took him out of we finished indoor soccer. By the grace of God, we made it through that, and then we put him in taekwondo. Well, it's really like a mixed martial arts kind of thing, but they teach like a little bit of jiu-jitsu, karate, taekwondo, like a real mixture of kind of things. And so he did great for the first few months. We did it for about 6 months. And then towards the end of it, he progressed pretty quickly. And if things don't keep his attention, then he gets pretty frustrated and pretty bored with it. And so we fought that battle. It was pulling teeth to try to get him to go and to listen and all that kind of stuff. Not that he was really misbehaving or anything, but he was just, being a 4-year-old, right? His attention was elsewhere. He wanted to do other things. And we really had, like, to the best of my ability, had the conversation around being, we meet our commitment. We signed up for a year. We're gonna do this for the year, and then we can move on to, really move on to something else. And it at first, he's 4.5, and so we don't necessarily know what he likes or doesn't like, right? Like, we know what he gravitates towards. That's very apparent. And it just kind of got to the point to where he was just like, he was very articulate for what he was saying. It was like, Dad, I don't like going. Right, like, and at first he said it a couple times, and I feel a little bad, right? Because at first he said it, and it was like really one of those, like, dude, you're 4, right? Like, it's just, it's just one of those things. You'll get used to it, type of thing, yada yada yada. But until he finally, like, I could just start to see the dread in him, and his whole mood would start to change. And it wasn't like that for the first few months. And then it really kind of started to get that way. And then he got in trouble, and he had to like sit aside in one of the classes. He didn't get to be a part of it. And when we walked out, he just he grabbed my hand and said, Dad, I don't like this. I don't want to do this. And that was it. Like, it resonated in my soul, right? Of like, he's making direct contact with me. He's talking directly to me and articulating that he does not like what he's doing. Right. And I thought, and every time I get to that moment, I always think back to the time when me and my dad were at the motocross track, and I was like, I just don't feel like this. I don't feel like riding. My dad was like, yeah, okay, let's go. And there was no question, right? Like, I didn't see any anger from him. I didn't see anything. And so that was kind of, for me, my moment to be my dad to him. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, all right, dude, that's fine. If you don't want to do this anymore, then we don't have to do it anymore. So now it's been very difficult, because he says that about dinner. Right? He'll say it about bedtime. He's like, Dad, I don't like this. And I'm like, okay, listen, dude, right? Like, I get it.
To be used right
but
now.
So that was really, for me, like, I really felt it in that moment of like, okay, I hear you and I understand what you're saying. So I'm going to meet you there, and we'll stop going. So it took a little bit to get to that point, but I'm glad we got there. So,
dude, I struggle with it, honestly, because like I'm the type of person that, besides everything outside of video games, like, if I'm bad at it, I usually give up pretty quickly. So it's been kind of the story with a lot of things. I've stopped and started them. Mm-hmm. And I think definitely Mason has kind of taken on that same thing. Dom too, to a certain extent, where if they're just not good at something, like, it's just like, well, why even start it? Like, let's just focus on something that I'm good at, type of thing. And so it's hard trying to find that line for us of, like, pushing them. We did sign them up for a, like, they have nothing to do during the winter. So we signed them up for a Fortnite league last year, and they did like these Fortnite tournaments. They ended up coming in first place in their division, everything,
Nice.
against like organized schools, and they were just like a random thrown together team and stuff. But they like hated it after a while. They were getting coaching from professionals, and like that's, I'm sure that they would love to be pro video gamers, but they just started to hate it. They're like, we just absolutely hate this. So it was kind of one of those things, like Abe said, where it's just like, all right, dude, like no worries. However, I do go a little bit different than Abe on this part. Is I'm like, however, we do have a commitment because there's teammates involved, and if you guys just quit, with 3-4 weeks left, then you're just leaving them hanging for those tournaments. So
Yeah.
There's an aspect to it where it's like, let's look at how, if it's something that's like messing them up mentally, emotionally, physically, in any type of those ways, like, yeah, we'll cut it out. We're done right then and there. If it's just something that they're bored of, because they get that tendency from me, then it's like, hey, let's try to stick this out for the other people. So, it's just trying to find that. It's trying to find that fine line. Like with music, I mentioned they didn't really have any interest in it. It's like, all right, cool, no worries. Like if you have any interest in it, let's chat about it later on. Like if I'm not a good enough teacher for you guys, like since I'm your dad, like let's get you into something where they can teach you in a different way than I can. So it's just all about having that balance, just taking it as a case by case type thing for me. But yeah, it's
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess my child's not old enough for me to experience that yet. I guess the closest thing that we experience is like getting her to try new foods. So it's really, really hard to get her to try new things because she wants to eat the same things every single day. And if you do make her try something, she immediately says, I do not like this. I don't like this. I don't want that. And then she'll go get another bite. If she does like it, she'll go get another bite and she's, I don't like this. I don't want this. And she'll get another bite. And it's hard to tell what she actually likes and what she doesn't. And it's hard to tell what she just doesn't want to like and what she doesn't like. So like, how do we force her to try new things without forcing things down her throat that she doesn't want to eat? It's kind of the same question that I've had as far as that regard.
How old is she?
I don't really have an answer to that. She's 2.5. She'll be 3 in February.
Dude, so what we ended up doing was we get like, if you hear the happy plate term, I hate that term, by the way. It for some reason just bothers me. But we started, I can't remember where my wife read it, but it was something like they should get a tablespoon per their age. So like we realized that we started giving her, like our daughter, and we did this with Roman too. We started giving him less food, just a little bit, not like starving him or anything like that. But we started giving them less food and realized that they started eating better. They started trying different stuff because you set a plate in front of them and there's only like a little pile and it's not overwhelming. And so once we started doing that, it was very weird. Like they started eating like Brussels sprouts and all that, like all that other kind of weird vegetable stuff once we started making smaller portions. So I don't know if that would help, but I don't know if it's like a psychological thing or what, but
I don't know. And that's another thing. Like you can give her a certain amount, and if she's hungry, she's going to be like, I want more mac and cheese. I want more mac and cheese. And she won't leave you alone until you make her more mac and cheese. Like that's the way she is. So I don't know how you balance that.
I mean,
I guess give her the mac and cheese, and then if you want anything more, you've got to try something different.
I have definitely smoked chicken, shredded up into mac and cheese before, without question. No shame.
Hey, I need that recipe.
I'll send it to you.
Sounds good to me.
I think I know what I'm eating for dinner tomorrow night.
It's good, man.
Next question I have for you guys. This is a fun one. How do you tell your kids that they aren't good at something? Like say your kid loves to sing, but is just god awful at it. Like, how do you manage, and how do you deal with that?
We just have an open. I mean, we're just very open with each other about those things. Like, like, I don't think there's anything that I've had to come out and be like, hey, you guys should probably not do that because you suck at it. But like, I think we just have a very open policy because they tell me constantly, like, they're like, Dad, you can't sing. Like, you're not good at singing. Don't sing, yada, yada, yada. So they are very open with me to where, if it was something like that, I could definitely, I'd definitely be comfortable sharing it with them. And it's funny too, because Mason played baseball last year out of nowhere, like just wanted to play baseball. And so I thought that I was going to have that conversation with him, like, hey, buddy, you randomly want to play at 9 years old, but your brother's been playing since he was like 4 and 5 years old. Like, there's going to be some talent. There's going to be some.
There's going to be a discrepancy in your skill. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. And what was crazy though is that Mason's not a pitcher, but he came out there and looked like he played baseball his whole life. Mm-hmm. And then this past year that was 2021 and 2022, I said, hey buddy, you want to play baseball? I'm going to sign you up. He said, no, thank you. He just didn't want to. He just had no desire to play baseball. And
he accomplished what he wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, exactly. And for 2023, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm thinking about maybe playing again. Like he's just, he had to go out there and prove to himself, like, hey, I can do this. And he did. He went out there and nobody had any idea it was his first and apparently now only year. So yeah, that was definitely one of those times I thought I'd have to tell him, like, hey buddy, like, don't feel bad, but it turned into a good thing. And really since then, like, I really haven't had to have that conversation. Like, but on the flip side, like, I don't boost them up about things that they're terrible at and tell them that they're good at. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not over here saying, oh, you're going to be an opera singer, Mason. You know what I mean? Like, we know it's not realistic. So it's just like a fine line. But
does that?
Yeah, even with them being.
Does that make you nervous? And the context behind that question is
for like the future
of him just kind of flipping the switch on and off. Because didn't you mention earlier that was kind of your tendency of starting and stopping multiple things, right? Like, no, I'm
no, yeah, no, I'm laughing because you're spot on. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah. So I like that question, Abe. I would say yes and no, because I look at myself and I get frustrated that it's taken me 31 years to get to where I'm at now. When I know if I would have tweaked a couple different things, if I would not have quit certain things so soon, that I would have been a lot further in several different areas. So yes and no, because the lessons that I've learned along that way, like I don't know. It's always like when I was 20 years old, I wanted to become a millionaire, but it's like, how non-responsible you would be with $1 million at 20 years old. So it's like you have to have that experience, really, and not everyone has to have that. But I think for my personality type, Mason's personality type, it's lessons are best learned through, going through it yourself, I think.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
To answer your question, there's some of it I let slide. And then there's a lot of it that I use myself in his example. And I say, buddy, you're a lot like me. Here's something that I did. Here's how I screwed it all up. Here's how it turned out. Don't follow that same path because you already know how it's going to end. And I know there's some things that he's like, cool, Dad, sweet. And he's still going to do them. And then I know there's things that he's like, okay, I see that too, Dad. So
yeah.
Good question, Dave. I like that, man. Thanks.
I don't really have much to add to this topic because my son is 4.5, my daughter is 1.5. So they struggle with everything. So one thing that definitely makes me nervous is well, if you've never seen me in real life, I'm 5'5" on a good day. When the wind's blowing. And
I only say that because I'm 5'6". So
my son is absolutely obsessed right now with basketball, and so
yeah, you were saying that last time.
That makes me nervous, dude. Because like I'm trying to mentally prepare myself to be like, okay, look, if you're gonna do this, right, like we got to do it right, right? Like we've got like if you really, my dad was a very big component in like he would read every book that he could about whatever I was into at the time. What ended up really sticking across the years was fishing, racing, motocross, and then building like import cars. And so he would just read everything underneath the sun and all that kind of stuff. And I played basketball 1 year, and my dad had that conversation of like, hey, we're gonna get somebody to help kind of train you if this is what you want to do, because I don't play basketball. I'm not good at it. So you're not tall, you're fast, but everybody is head and shoulders above you. So if you're gonna do this was in like eighth grade, and I was maybe pushing 4.5 foot, like you know. So I'm like, that's something that I mentally struggle with for sure. Like, how do I?
Yeah, I feel like as we're talking, like my head's kind of like just gears are spinning, and I wonder if it's trying to teach your kids the difference between like a career path and what hobbies are. Like, because I feel like when you ask a kid like what they want to be when they grow up, it's like what they're obsessed with and what they love to do right now. Or something that they like they think they could see themselves doing down the future. Like maybe they want to be a firefighter, or they want to be a doctor or whatever. Or they want to be a basketball player. But is it because they actually want to be a basketball player, or is it because they love basketball right now and that's what they love to do? And I wonder if it's like, is it more so trying to teach your kids that you can have different hobbies that you don't have to be amazing at, and you can still enjoy them, and that doesn't have to be your career path, and that's okay.
I think it's that's a really good point, to be honest. I think for me, I want like I got pretty close to being able to make things pretty serious racing motocross. And towards kind of the end of I started riding when I was like 7, when I was about 7. And then I started to go to, when I got about 18, 19, I really started to get into like import, like tuner cars. And so now I'm still into them, right? Like modifying trucks, modifying cars, doing all that kind of stuff. But like if I did that for a living, I would hate it, because I like to, you know, and I like to, you know, tinker with that kind of stuff. And so for me, I go back to kind of your point, Garrett, of like, if you're going to do something and you think that that's what you want to do, then go all in. Right, like that's some of the regrets I had, you know, a little bit when I was younger in life, is like I had opportunities that I just kind of half-assed, if you will, right? Like, so I want Roman to understand, and Cora to understand, that if you're going to do it to the absolute best of your ability. But to, you know, to Nick's point earlier of like, you know, his son getting coached in, you know, Fortnite and all that kind of stuff, and realizing that that's not like, it's not fun anymore. All of a sudden, if you want to go down that career path and make your hobby a career, and automatically it's not fun, then that's not what you need to be doing. You need to be doing something else.
For sure.
But that doesn't mean that you can't bust your ass at it and be the best that you can be at it. But you have to have, like, I think as a parent, you have to be ready to have those conversations of, listen, you're not going to make it to the next level here. Right? But saying that to, like, not, you know, as those words leave my mouth, it's like a very bad taste, because
it's like
what I don't want to do is squash any of their dreams, right? Like, so you kind of, I feel like that you kind of have to let them learn that the hard way, of like,
I feel like those conversations come very naturally. Like, Yeah, I feel like they don't, because you never really have to come out and say that, because at a certain aspect, like, at the age that they're at now, like, they know, you know what I mean? Like, they know, like, hey, I'm probably not going to be in the NBA, whatever. So it's like, there's certain things that are just kind of givens. But there's also a flip side of it, because it's like, I'm the same way. I'm 5'6" on a good day, and Dominic seemingly inherited my genes. And so he probably will be taller than me, but not by a whole lot. But I could have simply had that conversation with him, years ago, and just been like, hey, you're not going to go to the next level. But that would have hindered him, and now he's playing for his school. He's playing in the middle school team. He's a 6th grader. They said, hey, look, we have enough 7th and 8th graders on the team that, like, the 6th graders are probably not going to get a lot of play time. And I said, you know what, Dom, like, why don't you just stay on the team and just learn, just hang out, just have fun, the camaraderie, and
Yeah.
And so he gets, when they're crushing other teams, they'll put a couple of the 6th graders in at the towards the end of the game. Well, he made his first shot the other day. He's one of the shorter ones on the team, but it's like his ball handling, he is compensated in every other area. The one area he can't control is his height, but every other area that he can control, he's just as good, if not better, than a lot of those 6th, 7th, 8th graders that are out there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why my best advice is, don't even worry about those conversations. Like I think for sometimes it's for, as fathers with sons, it's our pride that we're trying to protect. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to throw our son out there and then him be the one that's like twirling the bat or running to third base instead of first. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of that to it.
Yeah.
So my best advice is, just with having the oldest kids, is just let those conversations come naturally. You probably will never have to say that. And that's probably the best thing you can do for them, because I have no idea. Dominic could be the next Nate Robinson / Steve Nash. You know what I mean? So, like, I have no idea. And he's fantastic. So it's just one of those things. Yeah, that's all I got for that.
That's good, dude.
Yeah,
that's
really
good. Basically, what I took from that is push them to be the best that they can be at the highest ability that they can. And as long as they're giving it their all and they're doing the best that they can, it's not going to matter. I love that, dude. That's good advice, man.
That's really good.
Right, I feel like I want to be that person that my kid can come to, and like I can be honest with it, and I can tell them whether they're good at something or not, and them not get offended. Like, they can come to me and say, "Am I actually good at this? Like, should I keep pursuing this?" And I can actually give them good advice, and I'm not just like, "Yeah, keep on," and they actually suck at it. Because everybody's not good at everything. You have to find what you're good at.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I want to be. I want to be supportive of them, but I don't want to be a jerk. But I want to be honest.
It's about honing in what they're good at. You know what I mean? Like, Dom's a great pitcher. Dom's a great catcher. But Dom is probably not going to be the greatest center fielder or like third baseman. So I would tell him that, like, hey, buddy, no, we're not going to put you on third base. Like, you're not going to be good there. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can tell them that, but try to hone in on like what they're actually good at, and just not lying to them, but encouraging them to put their best foot forward, and they're all
for sure. It's good stuff. On this week's episode, we wanted to talk about our New Year's resolutions and goals we have for our kids and for our families. We encourage you to write down a few goals that you may have for you, your marriage, or your family. You don't accidentally just end up having a great family or being the best version of yourself one day. You've got to enter that destination into the GPS and do the work to get there. Guys, what are some goals that you have for yourself, your family, or for your kids in 2023?
So, welcoming in a new baby into the family in 2023.
Let's go!
I don't want the car to break down. I don't want to run out of gas, and I don't want it to catch on fire. So, avoiding all disaster and keeping things as normal as possible. Because because everything's about to change. Having two kids at one time, trying to bring in a newborn with a 3-year-old that's going to be absolutely obsessed with this baby is going to be insane. So I think just staying above water for 2023 is my goal, and anything above that is just above and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean, we don't really do New Year's resolutions. I say every year that I'm gonna start working out again, and then I hibernate like all winter. So that's kind of how I'm feeling already.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking about getting a gym pass, and then honestly with the kids, like, you know, Dom's done really well with just getting into basketball. You shed some weight. You know, so I think just trying to get to like the bike park more often during the winter is definitely like a goal of ours, to stay healthy and active. But really, other than that, I mean, just the you know, we're just kind of chasing peace and consistency over here. Just, you know, all of us just kind of realizing that it's okay for everything to just kind of be low key. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just and just have a peaceful year this coming year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really do New Year's resolutions. I have enough goals at work. So I think
Same.
you know, it's we obviously work towards, you know, retirement and all that kind of stuff. When we take a look at, you know, relook at everything at the beginning of the year, and you know, what do we want to try to do for this year, and what do we want to get, or really what we focus on, I would say, is really just getting things paid off. Right, like we're so close to debt free. Well,
That's awesome.
I say that we just bought a new house. I have to take that back. But as far as only having a house payment, and then like regular bills, obviously that come with a house, so no credit card debt or anything like that. So we're doing pretty well there. I think for us, you know, this year's going to be a big one, because Roman's obviously going to go to kindergarten. So I'm not.
That's an episode in the making right there.
Yeah, I don't want to go too far down that one, because I'm going to get a little emotional, because I'm not ready for it. Right, like I love that kid to death, and it's terrifying. I'm pumped for him, but you know, it's terrifying in the same right. And him and his sister aren't going to go to the same daycare anymore, so we're going to have to it's going to be the first year that, you know, I go one direction, my wife goes the other direction on getting the kids, and then what does dinner look like, what time are we going to get home. So it's really kind of just preparing for that new season, because we've got obviously no clue what it's going to be like, but just making sure we've got some sort of plan, you know, in place to make sure that because we fell into the we had a lot of activities after work for the kids, and so it was just let's just, you know, let's hit Chick-fil-A on the way home, or let's just, you know, Uber something or whatever. And we took a look at finances and stuff, and I about fell out, because I'm like, oh my Lord, it doesn't seem like that much if you do it here and there, but man, over a month it really adds up. And I'm like, that's another freaking car payment, right? I mean, so here we are, you know, focusing on getting debt free, and then all of a sudden we're spending a car payment over a car payment, you know, on eating out, because we're just being lazy. So yeah, it's just going to be a season of anticipation, I think, of things, and knowing that no matter how we anticipate it, it's still not going to go anything like what we expect. So
Yep.
Being flexible and just rolling with it.
Rolling with the seasons, baby.
Yeah, and me and Mel, there's a lot of parenting aspects that we do. This probably should be another episode, but a lot of parenting aspects that we do very similar, but then there are a lot of things that we look very differently on. And so it's really been as Roman gets older and as Corey gets older, it's very apparent that those things are coming to light now, and we're not on the same page.
Yeah.
So you know, I think 2023 is going to be very interesting, and Roman going to kindergarten is only going to exacerbate a lot of that stuff. So we're just praying to stay diligent and working through it and with grace and you know, that be that. So
yeah. In 2023, my life is going to change. Like, I can't even imagine having our first kid. From what everyone's told me, no amount of preparing or planning can prep me for how this baby is going to rock my world.
Good luck.
So with that in mind, I just want to make sure that I'm the most grounded that I've ever been. I don't want all of this change and all of this chaos and everything to just like completely shake me. I want to make sure that I'm grounded. So to do that, I want to make sure that I'm reading the Bible the most that I've ever been. For me, that's what grounds me the most and gives me as much wisdom as possible. So I want this year to be marked by that. I want to be marked by reading the Bible more than I ever have been. I also want to make sure that I'm taking care of myself physically. And I know everyone says that, but I've got a new reason to really put that into action with my son. And I want to make sure that I can be the best version of myself for him and be around as long as possible for him. For my family in 2023, man, it's hard because I've never had a son before. So thinking of goals for the three of us this year is a first. But at the end of the day, it's more a few words that I want to claim over my family than goals that I want us to achieve. The words that I want us to have and the words that I'm going to claim over us are joy, peace, and strength. I really can't fathom what 2023 is going to look like, but through it all, I want to have joy through all circumstances, peace in the chaos, and strength to overcome whatever the world throws at us. But I'm just really, really, really stoked for this year and to meet my boy for the first time.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
definitely praying for joy and for all you guys. Joy and peace are like the two single most things as a dad that you realize, like, kind of circling back to gifts. It's like those are really two of the greatest gifts that you could have is just joy and peace in your family. So yeah, man.
Great.
Appreciate that.
Are you tired of your toddler not pulling his or her weight? Well, then I got great news for you. The Baby Mop. This sucker is the original formula from 1998 and even won the 99 most unuseless Japanese inventions. Works virtually on any surface and even works great on stairs. For your babies or a gift for any newborn, we even offer sizes suitable for children up to 18 years old to make sure that they're pulling their weight till you kick them out. Babies were never meant to be trouble. Enjoy watching them clean your whole house while you sit back and drink a mimosa while catching up on Bluey on a Saturday morning. Witness the special moment when a person becomes useful for the first time in its life. What a beautiful moment that is. Call now.
Well, every episode we want to end with a question for you, our audience. You can respond on Instagram at SomehowIDad, comment and subscribe on YouTube at SomehowIDad, or email us at SomehowIDad@gmail.com. Last episode, we asked, who is your favorite TV dad and why? Let's hear what you had to say. Ryan from Indiana said, my favorite TV dad from my childhood has to be Tim the Toolman Taylor from Home Improvement. Oh yeah, that's a good one. He reminds me of my own dad in a lot of ways. My dad wasn't a huge grunter, but he has always been handy and subsequently hurting himself. That being said, the best dad on modern TV is Bandit Healer from the kids' cartoon Bluey. I think the world would be a much better place if dads everywhere aspired to be more like him. I'm loving the podcast so far. Keep dadding. Thanks so much, Ryan. I appreciate that. And I love that. Tim the Toolman Taylor was a staple for me growing up.
Dude, I can't wait till you start watching Bluey, Garrett, because that's Evie's favorite show right now. And, yeah. It's funny because every time I'm watching it with her, I'm like, man, if I could just be half the dad this freaking dog is, like, life would be so much better. That's funny, Ryan. I feel that, man.
There's two that come to mind, and that's Philip Banks from Fresh Prince.
Bro, you can't steal mine.
Oh, Uncle Phil.
You
And,
can't steal
uh,
Uncle Phil, bro.
And Carl Winslow from Family Matters. Like, Family Matters used to be my favorite show. Like, the favorite sitcom you could watch growing up. It was like my favorite.
Yes.
And then you got to throw Danny Tanner in there. Honorable mention.
Oh yeah.
We sound like a couple homeschooled kids, Tyler. No, I was gonna say I honestly was gonna say Philip Banks as well. I have no idea how James Avery actually is, but it's funny. I just remember being like a little kid and just watching all the reruns of Fresh Prince and just being like, just like learning lessons from this dude. You know what I mean? In this stupid sitcom. But yeah, I would say definitely Philip Banks for growing up in the '90s, and then right now I'd have to go with Bluey's dad. I mean, I have to agree with Ryan there. Bluey's dad is he is one heck of a dad. One heck of a dad.
Yeah, I didn't watch a whole bunch of TV growing up, to be honest. But if I had to, if I had to pick one, this is gonna be really weird. But man, the grandpa from the Three Ninjas, and I always say that.
What?
I say that one because my son is absolutely obsessed with the Three Ninjas right now, right? But the grandpa in there is so like wise and so stern, but he expects a very high level of commitment from these three boys, but at the same time, like, is very individualized in how he teaches these kids lessons, right? And that is very inspiring to me because obviously, you know, I've got a boy and a girl, and they're going to learn and they're going to experience the world in two drastically different ways. But what I want to make sure that I do is whenever we're talking about a life lesson or you know, that we're going through something that was very difficult for them, or, you know, whatever it is, I want to make sure that I am not putting my own self into their shoes and trying to really, I would say, explain things in a way that makes sense for me. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that the grandpa and the Three Ninjas does that very, very well. And there's one other thing on there that is pretty inspiring as well. Is that nothing gets in the way of them, of those three boys and the grandpa. Like, the grandpa just would move heaven and earth, whatever he had to do to take care of them. You know, and that for me is like, you know, that for me is.
This reminds me of another TV dad, Master Splinter.
Yeah, dude.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
He had no business adopting those 5 turtles, but he did.
Oh,
Sure did.
yeah, what a show. My favorite TV dad is definitely Phil Dunphy from Modern Family. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but he was definitely my favorite TV dad. I'd say that Phil is a physical representation of who I want to be as a dad. He's super goofy, but he would literally do and does anything for his family. He doesn't only provide, but he's a positive influence. He's a teacher in everything he does. He loves to make the holidays special. He tries to stay relevant for his kids. She may or may not be very good at, but he's trying. He's invested into his kids' education. He's protective. He helps with dinners. And he's absolutely infatuated with his wife. And I feel like that's like everything that I want to be. Maybe not as absolutely crazy as he is, but man, it's like my favorite show right now, and he's my favorite TV dad. I'd say some honorable mentions go out to Michael Bluth from Arrested Development.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Arrested Development?
No.
Oh,
I've never seen that or Modern Family, to be honest with
There's
you.
always money in the banana stand, Tyler. There's always money in the banana stand. Dre Johnson from Blackish. It's a great one. And for all the girls out there listening, Adam Braverman from Parenthood.
Ooh,
Or some
I
other
forgot
honorable
about
mentions that I
Parenthood.
had.
That was such
Another
a
one I
good
haven't
show,
seen.
man.
That was a good show. It was like the first This Is Us, but not as dramatic.
What
It's
about
great.
Alan Matthews from Boy Meets World?
What about Mr. Feeney?
What about Mr. Feeney, dude?
What about the legendary, the man, the myth, the legend? Never mind.
Wow, so legendary.
Okay.
So legendary, we don't even
Stop
know who he
recording.
is.
For
Where
real.
we went.
We want to know, what are some of your New Year's resolutions and goals? We look forward to hearing some of your answers. Please write into the show by messaging us on Instagram at SomehowIDad or email us at somehowidad@gmail.com. Also, if you have any questions about dad life, parenting, or marriage questions, please reach out to us on Instagram or email as well. Thank you all so much for listening. Please give us 5 stars and a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Until next time.
I'm Gordo.
I'm Abe. Was not ready for that.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm
Agreed.
Garrett.
We're gonna need to polish that. Oh my god.
It's
Remember
Don't.
that.
it feels
Remember-
really read and scripted. I'm sorry. I wasn't prepared.
I'm totally posting it like that. It's hilarious.
Wow.
I was like, is he gonna like say my name and then after like 10 seconds?
Nope, I just wanted to see where it was going to go.
Yep.
This is also
I screwed it
how
up.
we parent our kids. Sometimes we just let things happen.
This is it's always on the fly, dude. Yeah, it's no edits.
Remember that being good enough isn't the goal. Being the best version of you, which includes being a parent, is. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Are we saying our names again or no? Be careful with the bow. Be careful with the bow. Be careful.